Join us on Coffee with Josh and Arlene as we explore the raw and beautiful tapestry of our relationship. Our channel is a space where we share our experiences of pain, anger, and hurt, as well as joy, harmony, and bliss. We're here to guide you from merely tolerating your partner to celebrating your union and oneness.
Discover new ways of communication, confront the past, let go of outdated beliefs, and embrace living in the present.
Together, let's transform our relationships into a source of strength and happiness. And so it is.
Whispers are heard, a symphony of love, like the song of a bird. You're my cup of happiness.
Fear by Thich Nhat Hanh. Chapter 7, Gift of Fearlessness.
So today we're listening to The Gift of Fearlessness, Chapter 7, in Fear, Essential Wisdom for Getting Through the Storm, by Thich Nhat Hanh. I'm smiling because I hopefully pronounced his name correctly. So let's hear what he's got to say.
The Gift of Fearlessness. If you have a loved one who is facing death, she may be very afraid. If you want to be able to help your friend, you have to learn to cultivate your own non-fear. Non-fear is the basis of true happiness. And if you can offer non-fear to someone, you are giving that person the best kind of gift. If you can sit solidly with your friend during those difficult moments, you can help her die peacefully without fear. Non-fear is the cream of the Buddha's teaching. Practicing meditation, we can generate the energies of mindfulness and concentration. These energies will lead us back to the insight that nothing is really born or dies. We can truly remove our fear of death. When we understand that we cannot be destroyed, we are liberated from fear. It is a great relief. Non-fear is the ultimate joy. If we have fear, we can't be completely happy. If we're still running after the object of our desire, then we still have fear. Fear goes together with craving. We want to be safe and happy, so we begin to crave a particular person or object or idea, such as wealth or fame, that we think will guarantee our well-being. We can never fully satisfy our craving, so we keep running and we stay scared. If you stop running after the object of your craving, whether it's a person, a thing, or an idea, your fear will dissipate. Having no fear, you can be peaceful. With peace in your body and mind, you aren't beset by worries, and in fact, you have fewer accidents. You are free. If we can model the ability to embody non-fear and non-attachment, it is more precious than any money or material wealth. Fear spoils our lives and makes us miserable. We cling to objects and people like a drowning person clings to any object that floats by. By practicing non-attachment and sharing this wisdom with others, we give the gift of non-fear. Everything is impermanent. This moment passes. The object of our craving walks away, but we can know happiness is always possible. Toxicants. We do not want our fear, our anger, our pain, so we suppress it by filling up our lives with the things provided us by modern civilization. Websites, games, films, music. All these items can contain many toxins that only serve to increase our sickness, our fear. Suppose you watch 1 hour of television. That seems like very little. But you know there can be a lot of violence, a lot of fear, and a lot of poisons in that 1 hour program. And you practice intoxicating yourself every day. You think you're getting some kind of relief, but while entertaining yourself, you continue to bring into the depths of your consciousness even more elements of pain and suffering. So the blocks of pain deep within you keep growing bigger and bigger. We intoxicate ourselves with what we consume every day. We let the television set be our children's babysitter, and our children get intoxicated every day by what they see and hear there. The Buddha terms these things poisons. There are poisons in us already, deep in our consciousness, and yet we open ourselves up to bring in even more poisons and toxins. Our environment is also deeply polluted by toxins. Practicing meditation means being aware of all that is going on, not only in our body, but also in the rest of the world. We are feeding ourselves and our children with poisons. That is what is happening in the present moment. If you notice this, you are awakened to the fact that we are intoxicating ourselves all day long. We have to find a way to stop consuming these intoxicants that feed our fear. The nature of interbeing. When we look deeply into a sheet of paper, we see that it's full of everything in the cosmos. The sunshine, the trees, the clouds, the earth, the minerals, everything, except for one thing. It's empty of one thing only, a separate self. The sheet of paper cannot be by itself alone. It has to interbe with everything else in the cosmos. That is why the word interbe can be more helpful than the word be. In fact, to be means to interbe. The sheet of paper cannot be without the sunshine, cannot be without the forest. The sheet of paper has to interbe with the sunshine to interbe with the forest. If you were to ask how the world came into existence, into being, the Buddha would say in very simple terms, that is not. Because the sunshine is, the sheet of paper is. Because the tree is, the sheet of paper is. You cannot be by yourself alone. You have to interbe with everything else in the cosmos. That is the nature of interbeing. I don't think that the word interbe is in the dictionary, but I believe that it will be there soon, because it helps us to see the real nature of things, the nature of interbeing. If you are locked into the idea of a separate self, you have great fear. But if you look deeply and are capable of seeing you everywhere, you lose that fear. As a monk, I practice looking deeply every day. I don't just give lectures. I can see me in my students. I can see me in my ancestors. I see my continuation everywhere in this moment. Every day, I make the effort to transmit to my students the best that I have received from my teachers and from my practice. I don't believe that I will cease to be someday. I told my friends that the 21st century is a hill, a beautiful hill that we will climb together as a Sangha. I will be with my Sangha all the way. For me, that is not a problem, because I see everyone in me and me in everyone. That is the practice of looking deeply, the practice of concentration on emptiness, the practice of interbeing. The story of Anathapindika. Anathapindika, who lived 2,600 years ago, was an early follower of the Buddha. Anathapindika was a businessman who was very generous, and he used his time and energy to help the destitute people of his city. He gave away a lot of his wealth to the poor, yet he did not become less wealthy. He received a lot of happiness. He had a lot of friends in his business circles, and he was loved by all of them. Anathapindika took great pleasure in serving the Buddha. He used his wealth to buy a forested park and build a practice center called the Jeta Grove, where the Buddha and his monks could practice. The Jeta Grove became a famous practice center, and people came there to listen to the talk given by the Buddha every week. One day, the Buddha learned that his beloved disciple, Anathapindika, was very sick. He went to visit him and urged Anathapindika to practice mindful breathing while in bed. Then, the Buddha asked Shariputra, a close friend of Anathapindika's, to take care of him during his illness. Shariputra and his younger monastic brother, Ananda, went to visit Anathapindika. When they arrived, Anathapindika was so weak he could not sit up in bed to greet them. Shariputra said, "No, my friend, don't try, just lie quietly. We will bring a few chairs to be close to you and sit together." The first question Shariputra asked was, "Dear friend Anathapindika, how do you feel? Is the pain in your body growing worse, or has it begun to lessen?" Anathapindika said, "No, friends, the pain in me is not lessening. It is getting worse all the time." When Shariputra heard that, he decided to offer Anathapindika a few exercises in guided meditation. As one of the most intelligent of the Buddha's disciples, Shariputra knew very well that helping Anathapindika focus his mind on the Buddha, whom he loved to serve, would give Anathapindika a lot of pleasure. Shariputra wanted to water the seeds of happiness inside Anathapindika, and he knew that talking about all the things that had made Anathapindika happy in his life would water those good seeds in him and lessen his pain in this critical time. Shariputra invited Anathapindika to breathe in and out mindfully, and to focus his attention on his happiest recollections, his work for the poor, his many acts of generosity, and the love and compassion he shared with his family and his fellow students of the Buddha. In just 5 or 6 minutes, the pain that Anathapindika had been feeling throughout his body lessened, as the seeds of happiness in him were watered, and he smiled. Watering the seeds of happiness is a very important practice for those who are sick or dying. All of us have seeds of happiness inside us, and in those difficult moments when we're sick or dying, there should be a friend sitting with us to help us touch those seeds. Otherwise, seeds of fear, regret, or despair can easily sprout into big formations that overwhelm us. When Anathapindika was able to smile, Shariputra knew that the meditation had been successful. Shariputra invited Anathapindika to continue the guided meditation. Dear friend Anathapindika, now it is the time to practice the meditation on the six senses. Breathe in and out and practice with me. These eyes are not me. I am not caught in these eyes. This body is not me. I am not caught in this body. I am life without boundaries. The decaying of this body does not mean the end of me. I am not limited to this body. When someone is about to die, he may be very caught up in the idea that his body is him. He is caught in the notion that the disintegration of the body is his own disintegration. We are all very afraid of becoming nothing. But the disintegration of the body cannot affect the dying person's true nature. That's why it's very important for us to be able to look deeply to see the ways in which we are not just our bodies. Each of us is life without limit. This body is not me. I am not caught in this body. I am life without limit. These eyes are not me. I am not caught in these eyes. These ears are not me. I am not caught in these ears. This nose is not me. I am not caught in this nose. This tongue is not me. I am not caught in this tongue. This body is not me. I am not caught in this body. This mind is not me. I am not caught in this mind. They led Anathapindika to meditate also on the objects of the six senses. The dying person may be attached to forms, sounds, body, mind, and so on, considering these things to be self. Because he is losing these, he believes he is losing self. These meditations are very comforting for an ill or dying person. These things I see are not me. I am not caught in what I see. These sounds are not me. I am not caught in these sounds. These smells are not me. I am not caught in these smells. These tastes are not me. I am not caught in these tastes. These contacts with the body are not me. I am not caught in these contacts with the body. These thoughts are not me. I am not caught in these thoughts. Anathapindika knew these two monks very well. Both were beloved disciples of the Buddha, and they were sitting there to support him, so he was able to do the meditation easily, even though he was gravely ill. And Shariputra guided him in the meditation on time. The past is not me. I am not limited by the past. The present is not me. I am not limited by the present. The future is not me. I am not limited by the future. Finally, they came to the meditation on being and non-being, coming and going. These are very deep teachings. Shariputra said, Dear friend Anathapindika, everything that is arises because of causes and conditions. Everything that is has a nature not to be born and not to die, not to arrive and not to depart. When the body arises, it arises. It does not come from anywhere. If conditions are sufficient, the body manifests, and you perceive it as existing. When the conditions are no longer sufficient, the body is not perceived by you, and you may think of it as not existing. In fact, the nature of everything is no birth and no death. Anathapindika was a very capable practitioner. When he practiced to this point, he was moved and got insight right away. He was able to touch the dimension of no birth and no death. He was released from the idea that he was only his body. He released the notions of birth and death, the notions of being and non-being, and so was able to receive and realize the gift of non-fear. Everything that is comes to be because of a combination of causes. When the causes and conditions are sufficient, the body is present. When the causes and conditions are not sufficient, the body is absent. The same is true of eyes, ears, nose, tongue, mind, form, sound, smell, taste, touch, and so on. This may seem abstract, but it is possible for all of us to have a deep understanding of it. You have to know the true nature of dying to understand the true nature of living. If you don't understand death, you don't understand life. The teaching of the Buddha relieves us of suffering. The basis of suffering is ignorance about the true nature of self and the world around you. When you don't understand, you are afraid, and your fear brings you much suffering. That is why the offering of non-fear is the best kind of gift you can give, to yourself and to anyone else. The practice of non-fear involves looking deeply to relieve the deep fear that is always there. If you have non-fear, your life will be happier and more beautiful, and you will be able to help many other people, just as Shariputra helped Anathapindika. The energy of non-fear is the key and the best basis for social action, or actions of compassion that protect people, protect the earth, and satisfy your needs to love and to serve. It is entirely possible to live happily and die peacefully. We do this by seeing that we continue our manifestation in other forms. It is also possible for us to help others die peacefully if we have the elements of solidity and non-fear in us. So many of us are afraid of non-being, and because of this fear, we suffer a lot. That is why the reality that we are a manifestation and a continuation of many manifestations should be revealed to the dying person. We are then not affected by the fear of birth and death, because we understand that birth and death are just notions. This insight can liberate us from fear. If we know how to practice and penetrate the reality of no birth and no death, if we realize that coming and going are just ideas, and if our presence is solid and peaceful, we help the dying person to not be scared and not suffer much. We can help the person die peacefully. We can help ourselves live without fear and die peacefully when we understand that there is no dying, only continuation. There, in the last moments of his life, Anathapindika received the greatest gift of all, non-fear, and he died beautifully, peacefully, without pain or fear.
So I'm curious, what seeds are we watering? Is it the seeds of judgment and fear? Is it regret and anger? Or is it happiness, joy? Is it gratitude? I've had both in my life, and I can tell you that watering seeds of happiness and joy and stepping away from the past, letting my past define me. Anyway, so knowing that no birth, no death, and like I said before, there's only God, there's only energy, there's only spirit, and it's in all, through all, as all, and I'm one with it, you're one with it, Arlene is one with it, this wild, crazy dog, he's one with it, and so when we can step into the truth of our being and knowing that we are individual manifestations of the I am, life becomes so powerful. And so that would be my challenge, to step into that truth, know your truth. And guess what? It's not easy. It's simple, but not easy, because frequently I feel separate. I feel alone. I feel scared because I step away from the truth of who I am. And I step into that place of aloneness and separateness and fear and regret and the past, and then maybe worrying about the future and what the future might hold, and not being enough, and all those other crazy thoughts. I'm curious to know what your thoughts, your reactions to today's reading are, and so let us know. Darlene, would you like to share any reflections on the reading, any thoughts before we close out?
Just like what I've mentioned, living with my fear, I feel like I'm ignorant. But don't need suffering. But then again, I habitually open up the past, and there's always a fear in it. Now I've decided to change the story, just like what I've mentioned, not putting judgment. The truth is, do not make a story. It's not helpful in a relationship. And yeah, to understand deeply in your present moment that we are interconnected with each other, meaning for some, we're brothers and sisters, and we are connected with the nature, the food that we ate, everything what we have in life. So I think gratitude also is one thing for me, being grateful of every day what I have received, and being grateful is I am contented with my life in this present moment. And again, it's just my colorful past from my parents that hinders me into my happiness in this present moment. But then I decided to remove it, not ignoring it, but acknowledging it that it is present, and what to do in order to become happy in your life, in my life. So by letting it go and change the story. So I am practicing it for how many days as well?
30 minutes.
Oh, after we experienced a challenge last week. It was Sunday, and we were reading what author is that when he was it's about the storyteller and how he earned it
Oh.
for his living. And then I took it personally. Wow. When my husband mentioned that I put down the man, so I made a story of, oh wow, you choose him before me. So it's just like that. When my feelings get hurt, it's all kinds of crap inside of my senses. So realize that it's not helpful. I have arrhythmia infarction, just like I've mentioned in the previous videos, that I'm hiding myself in my closet, and it's not really painful. It's really bad. When your kid's seeing you that, what are you doing, mama? It's just like, yeah, you're not a kid anymore. I don't want to wait for them to tell me. So I've changed the story. Sometimes it's a little bit of taking things personally, but I like to remove it off and living in the present moment, being mindful, having this mindfulness in every day, and see the world is a different, having no fear. It's not really easy when he said, Tiknahan mentioned that non-attachment, because I'm attached to my husband, to my kids, to what I have right now. So there are a lot of works that needs to be worked in order for me to have the change. And maybe if I do all these works to change the story, I can die peacefully without the fear that everything is well taken care of. To have a deeply understanding or interbeing in our in the community, in the environment, in the place we will live in. Again, the non-judgment is always, useful tool for me, so that there's no creation of bad stories. I guess that's it.
Alrighty then. Well, thank you for sharing, darling. I appreciate that. And in case you're wondering what all that noise is, we live near a church and they've started Sunday service. So now we're blessed with the Baptist singers. All right, so we'll sign off for now and call it a wrap. And so it is.